guys. Welcome to the Shooter's Mindset Podcast. We are at episode 457. Unfortunately, our co host Greg Cannon is ill tonight, so he will not be joining us. But I want to introduce Corey K. How's it going, Corey?
Man, I'm trying to keep up. I'm Greg tonight. This is way harder than it looks.
You also have a new appreciation for Greg and all he does.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Have you been shooting recently?
Yeah. We shot a match Saturday. Then I did some
Yeah.
filming for a new loaner can.
Ooh.
I'm just trying to keep up. Just
Yeah.
trying to keep up.
Oh, awesome. All right, and then I want to introduce our guest of the evening, my good friend, fellow Burris shooter, Dustin Sanchez. Dustin, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. I mean, Corey's here. I feel like I talk to him daily through text or phone call, anyways. But it's great to see you, Camden. So thank you.
Aw, yeah, it's good to see you too. It's feels like a long time since SHOT Show since we last saw each other, even though it's only been what, 2.5,
Thr-
3 weeks?
I don't think it's been that long ago. I think I'm still dealing with shot show stuff. So I feel like it just ended last week. Is how I feel
Right.
still. Yeah,
Right.
it's
And
been
then
it's been going hard since shot show. So
yeah, yeah. And it's not over yet because you're heading to you are next week, right?
yeah, I leave Friday for Finland. I'm gonna go train with another JP shooter and friend of mine, Raina in Finland.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
train with him for 2 days in Helsinki, and then I'm
That's
gonna jump on a flight to Iowa, in Germany.
That's awesome. That's so cool. All right. Well, Corey and I know you very well, but for those of the watchers who are unfamiliar with you, tell us a little about yourself. How'd you get into the industry? How'd you get into competitive shooting and what you do now in the industry?
Yeah. My story is nothing crazy. I was hanging out and doing some MMA with Nathan Payne. And some people may know his brother, Tyler Payne, shoots for the AMU. And we both were kind of getting tired of doing the MMA thing and being friends. And his dad showed up one day, who's Brian Payne, and he was chief of police for a local town here. And he's like, "Hey, let's go shoot some three gun." And we borrowed some gear from Brian and went and shot a three gun match. And I was hooked after that. Um, Started getting everything I needed for three gun, and I went pretty hard for about a decade in three gun. And
Okay.
during that time, just kept meeting new people. You know how our industry is. We keep meeting people, making friends, and one thing led to another. Brian Payne ended up getting on at JP, and then like 2 years later, I got a phone call asking if I was interested in coming to JP, and it's like, of course. So I went to JP, started building rifles, and um, myself and James Leffler took over social media and started running social media for JP, which led me to marketing with JP. Did that for a couple of years and then moved over to Real Avid, but kept contracting for JP. And this year I went complete contractor for
Mhm.
both Real Avid and JP. And then I do a lot of stuff for some other companies. So primarily what I do these days, depending on the company, it's going to be marketing, product management, and product development. And then when you look at JP, it's more marketing. And then I do a lot with the sponsored shooters with JP.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
So that's
awesome.
it.
Yes.
That's
Speaking of like
awesome.
talking every day, that is the most professional I have ever heard Dustin talk. That was just
Yeah.
like prime, dude. That's like interview, you're nailing it, you're getting the job at like boom.
Well, it's one of those things when you're on camera and you're representing so many companies, you got to be professional, Corey. I've still been working on that with you. I don't know if we'll ever get there, but we'll keep trying.
I
We're
mean,
getting there.
I have these conversations all the time with Corey, but we know him, we love him. He's who he is.
We accept him for who he is.
There you
Look,
go.
no
That's
one can top Leffler when he was running social media, sending me two images, one where the rifle stock blocks my face and one where my face is shown. And the one with the face shown had like a tenth of the interaction. He's like, keep your face out of social media if you want these
Yeah.
to do well.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
Oh,
you have one of those faces. It's not meant for camera.
oh gosh.
Okay,
Oh, that
so
is so good.
we're here to talk sponsorship. We already got a little
Yeah.
spicy. Um, how do I sign up? Where is the free stuff signature page?
Yeah, man. I, I wish so there's some days that I wish there was just a page and I had unlimited funds for whatever company I'm doing sponsorship with, and you guys could just, I have a QR code on my phone. I'm like, here, scan it and go do your thing. That
There
would
we
be
go.
great. That'd be easy. Um, and then, that would be, yeah, like I said, that'd just be the easiest and greatest thing ever. Unfortunately, I have very limited funds with two different companies, and that form does not exist. I
Yeah,
have been
so
talking about making a forum just to be able to gather a lot of information, so it makes my job a little bit easier. As to, like, you could submit a form and then I could go research you myself. Um,
yeah,
but I just haven't got there yet.
yeah. So obviously there's a lot of guys that shoot guns all
Yep.
over, even outside the competition space. So everything is super competitive. So why don't we talk about like what types of support there are in kind of the gun industry in general?
Yeah. For me, I look at it, right. I can look at it from two different aspects, or three technically. I could look at it from a sponsored shooter, and then I can look
Mhm.
at it from running, doing stuff with Real Avid,
Yeah.
which is a different demand and different how people approach Real Avid versus how we are with JP. But when we really
Mhm.
get into the support that's out there, um, there's definitely a lot of support if you're looking to grow within the sport. But I think the biggest thing there is it's gonna start with your attitude, right? Like, you've got to be that
Yeah.
person that can go out go to the range, whether you're competing or not competing, and you can hold a conversation with people, be polite. We're all going to ruffle somebody's feathers. That's going to happen, but just get out there and push the community and push the Second Amendment, be supportive of whatever company it is that you're shooting, and not talk bad about other companies. From
Mhm.
there, like, when you really look into support, there's different tier programs where you get a discount on product. You can get
Mhm.
fully compensated for a rifle or parts. And then there's, a rare breed out there, a few that actually get paid to be
Okay.
shooters. But that's from there, when you're getting money, you can separate yourself too, because you have the Doug Koenigs and Lena Michelicks and people where uh, they're more with the company than they are sponsored
Right.
shooters. And some people, I feel, get them confused with they're a sponsored shooter versus, when I look at a sponsored shooter, I look at Corey K as a sponsored shooter for JP, right? Um,
Mhm.
Camden's a sponsored shooter for Real Avid. I kind of look
Mhm.
at those different than when I'm talking to Doug Koenig, who is a factory shooter. He has a lot of insight into what goes on at the company with the firearms.
Right.
Sure. Yeah. You mentioned kind of one of the things that I think is really important that a lot of people don't take into account, and it's kind of the fit between the person and the company, right?
Yeah.
Because I've talked to companies before and I've told them like, man, we're just we're not compatible and it's not a bad thing. But like even Saturday, like a competitor to y'all needed a handguard removal tool, just the barrel nut tool. His wife came and picked it up from the house. Like
Yeah.
it's no hard feelings. It's just like it's not a good fit.
Yeah, look, I think if everybody started looking at your sponsors or wanting to work with the sponsor as, this is it's kind of like your job, right?
Yeah.
Would you want to go work for this company? Not looking as, like, how much free product can I get, but does this company, do I share the same values that this company has? Do I truly believe in everything that, all of their products,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
There's a lot of
Mhm.
sponsor shooters who go get free guns and free optics and free ammo and whatever, but you see those relationships and you see those shooters go from company to company to company because they really haven't found that company that really fits who they are and what they do within the sport.
Right. Right.
Yeah. And kind of one of the things that I tell people is write down a list of like the companies that you would represent if you could pick anything.
Yeah.
Write down why and make sure they're not a company that you'd ever have to apologize for something they did.
Yeah.
Right. That is a great point.
Yeah, for sure. I think like for me with JP, it was a little different. I had my own business, and I had somebody ask me once, they're like, "What would it take for you to leave your business?" And I was like, kind of joking, but I wasn't. It was to get a phone call from JP Rifle, right?
Yeah.
That's how I would look at sponsorship. Like, what would
Mhm.
it take for you to do whatever it is you want to do to move over to that to be sponsored by that company? And if you're willing to be like, yep, like I would, that's who I want to be with. I would
Mm.
go there and I would just start out with just buying their products, even if I can just get 10% off. I'm going to buy their product because I truly believe in who they are and in their brand. And I'm going to shoot their stuff and never ask for anything in return.
Mhm.
And then if they ever approach me, then I know I am like, this is the company I want to be with. Then you've found your company that you truly want to spend, the rest of your shooting career with.
Yeah. Having friends like matching personality wise also
Mhm.
kind of helps a lot. Like if you get
It,
along with people on the range, you generally like you feel like you'll match well there.
yeah, yeah, for sure. I saw it a lot. I came back to JP pretty aggressive this year when I came back as a contractor.
Mhm.
Um, and some people have seen it. I went hard into sponsorship with my shooters, and I had a lot of people like, "Oh, you should look at this person. You should look at that person."
Mhm.
But I had hung out with some of these people, and though they are great shooters, and I think they're great people off the range, their personalities didn't match what the rest of the shooters' personalities were.
Yeah.
And the last thing I want to do is we all show up to a match and we all go to a dinner or we have an Airbnb and there's, 5, 7, or you like, we're going to Czech Republic and I got a house, an Airbnb that's going to sleep 20 people, right? We're
Yeah.
going to have 20 JP shooters in
That's
one
funny.
house in the Czech Republic. Those personalities have to get along, right?
Yes.
Like
Oh
it's
yeah.
I'm there for 2 weeks. I fly in on the 10th. I leave on the 26th. So that's 16 days. So I
Mhm.
need everybody that's there. I need personalities. I need everybody to vibe and get along. And that goes a long way if you can all get along.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
really.
I think tacos will be fine. That'll smooth everything over.
Tacos
But
fix everything, man.
yeah, no, it's an important point because some of the coolest things I've done with some companies haven't been on the range.
Yeah.
They've been off the range, just hanging out with friends, doing cool stuff, whether it's a prairie dog hunt, having a meal together where everyone's literally cooking their favorite dish, having pie with like one of my best friends in the world with like the pie recipe that I stole from him. He gave
Yeah.
it, but it's amazing.
Yeah.
Um, so what does a company generally expect from a sponsored shooter outside of being like fun, normal, hanging out with? Like, what are the kind of like metrics that you look for? Because this is always what everyone's trying to quantify is like,
Yeah.
is this worth it?
The problem with that is that I don't look at any shooter the same as I look at the next shooter, right? Like every shooter is different. They
Mhm.
bring something different to the table. So
Right.
I may have somebody who has zero social media following, and when I say zero, you're 5,000 or less, right? Like in the world of social media, some people just
Yep.
that's not big, right? So, but that person could be the person that shows up to an event that I'm at and I have a table and they just walk up and they jump in there and they know the product. They're talking the product, they're working, they're not expecting me to do anything for them. They just want to be part of the family and they're going to come and hang out with me at the booth and they're going to talk product and work and kind of entertain people and kind of take over. Those people bring something completely different to the table
Yeah.
than, we have with JP, we have Josh Fralick and I have Jacob Hepner. Those look at I got some thumbs up on that. Those are um, two completely different shooters, but
Mhm.
they both bring a lot of media to the table, and they're in two different events. So it's really hard for me to sit here and be like, this is exactly what we're looking for. So the metrics is going to be everywhere from if you can be on video and you can produce content for me, content's king.
Yeah.
You can just push content out for me. I love it. That's going to be great. I have other people that are going to be, like I said, we signed Migs. Well, we had Migs, but we really got Migs locked in for a 3-year contract with JP this year. And that kid just shows up to the range at SHOT Show this year, walked right in, started grabbing rifles, taking everybody out there and working with them, talking about their rifle, talking to them about how it ran, how he shoots, what to work on. That's a completely different value himself because at that point he took a lot of pressure off of me, right? So it's hard to say. And so I have people that try to compare, and I've had some people be like, well, I bring more to the table than any other shooters. I'll tell you right now, do not approach a conversation that way because I love all of my shooters, and every other sponsor that I know that runs a team, he loves all of his shooters or she loves all of her shooters. So it's not approaching it of I can bring more to the table than all of your other shooters. It's more of I can bring a lot to the table. What is it that you're looking for? Because if I really want to shoot for that company, I'm going to be willing to adjust what I do to make sure that there's that value for you as well.
Yeah. I think Hebner said something, it was in a different context, but it was about him putting out workouts. Like he's going to be himself.
Yep.
And if he shows everyone else what he's doing, they're not going to immediately become him. And I think it's important that people like remember, like you're your own person. Be who you are. And if that's something that the company is looking for, they'll find you.
Yeah. Look, I mean, you and I have talked about this, Corey. I was really aggressive with my sponsorship with JP this year. I brought a lot of people on, and I had a lot of people saying, "Hey, man, you need to talk to this person. You need to look at this person." And I really went for the people who were themselves, right? Like, be yourselves, just have a good time, go to the range, have a good time, be likable. That's huge, right? But at the end of the day, it's still be yourself. And I know from like the sponsors that I have, it came because I'm just myself, and I definitely can bring other things to the table. But whenever I jump out there, I'm just going to be myself. I'm gonna have a good time. Same with you two and all the other sponsor shooters out there.
I think it's so awesome when you are talking to a stranger about, if I'm at, say, SHOT Show and I'm at the Burris booth, I'm talking about Burris products, and somebody asks me like, "Oh, what's Burris like?" I love being able to say, this is what the company is like, whatnot, or it's great when you get to know a company and all the people that work for the company. So then you not only believe and know and love the product, but you believe and know and love the company. And then when you take an interest in getting to know the company, then they take an interest in getting to know you. And just how you're talking about how everybody brings something to the table. You went really heavy with JP sponsors this year, but you also know every single one of those people. You brought them onto the team because of their strengths and what they're good at. And now you have 20 people going to Worlds, which is amazing. And they're all JP shooters, and you also know them on a personal level. I think that's, and then it becomes a partnership. Then it's not just like a sponsorship, but it's a partnership between both parties.
Yeah, but you're not going to get that. Unfortunately, you're not going to get that every company, right? I mean, there's some companies that don't offer that. One of my strengths is the fact that like I'm going to create a relationship with the team. They all have my cell phone number. They text me. I'll be honest, there's times I get a text message at 10:30 at night, and I'm like, the last thing I want to do is text this person back right now because I know we're going to go into a big conversation. But it is part of like that relationship that I have with them to let them know, like, I'm here no matter what. I've got you. There are days where I'm just swamped and I won't get back to them, but usually I'm going to text them, be like, "Hey, super busy. Let's catch up tomorrow." But I do try to put them first, but you don't get that at every company.
No.
And that's nothing bad with those companies. It's just depends on the person they have there working and handling the team.
Yeah, I think it's great when a company.
Sorry for folks listening. We will be posting Dustin's cell phone number at the end of this conversation. So
If you listen, if you would have been at NRA last year, everybody forgot their business cards except for me with Real Avid. And so all
yeah.
of a sudden, like they're handing out my business card. And I'm like, what are y'all
That
doing?
is
And they're like,
so
we're giving out
good.
your business card so they can get a hold of us. I'm like, my cell phone number is on my business card.
Nice.
Yeah. So I'm pretty
So
sure
great.
if you Google it, you'll find my cell phone number and it's on there. Whatever. We'll have a conversation. We'll talk.
The conversation.
Never know. It may turn into
Um,
something good for both of us.
that is so good. That is so good. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah. So outside of like, having a face for radio and giving out personal information, are there any non-starters for someone?
Yeah. Well, like I said earlier, it's when you tell me that you bring more to the table than any of my shooters.
Mm,
Like I said, you may win all the matches and have titles. I don't like that approach. I don't
mm,
like I said, the people on the team I have created a relationship with, I want them to feel like they're family. So when I feel like they're being attacked, are you going to treat everybody like that once I sign you to a team? Are you going to be out there and still see other JP shooters and be calling them out when you beat them for matches and things like that? Like that is a huge non-starter. Um, Jumping from sponsorship to sponsorship to sponsorship definitely sends out red flags. Loyalty goes a long ways. You
yeah.
know, I I've changed sponsors once, um, and it was a hard decision for me to make, and it was something that I didn't take lightly. And I talked to a lot of people, and I talked to both companies about it. They both knew of each other.
Mhm.
Um, and ultimately, once I got the approval from the company that was sponsoring me and they understood what I was trying to do and I understood the direction they were going, then I was able to do it. But it was still it should be a hard decision for you to step away from sponsorship, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for
So,
sure. Definitely.
yeah. Oh, and then if you continuously lose to Corey K, everybody should
Yeah.
be able to beat Corey
Well,
K.
everyone should, but some people in this chat have not ever.
Me?
He's
No,
talking
no, no,
about both of
Dustin.
us.
No, you,
Okay, I was gonna
you
be like, wait,
destroyed
that'd
me
be
in
hurt.
Rimfire,
Yeah.
girl. I don't even start. This is like when Ashton was good.
Look,
Anyways,
Corey's ducking me at Worlds because he's shooting mini rifle, not PCC. He's so
yeah.
scared that I'm coming after him.
Oh man, like it's all this
That's
talent that he's carrying around. That's why he walks triple blank.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
that's
I guess
good.
swapping from individuals to matches, right? This is always like if you do the back end match stuff, one of the hardest things to do because you're trying to justify like with a company why it's like this match out of
Mm.
50 plus matches
Yeah.
are worth their time. So let's just hit it straight up. Our prize table's useful.
Oh, yeah. Yes and no.
Okay.
The politically correct part of me wants to be like, I love matches, I love sponsor matches, and they're all useful. They're
Yeah.
not. Honestly, there are some matches out there that kill it. They do a phenomenal job, right? They just
Yeah.
you like again with sponsorship. You never. It's hard to judge when we sponsor a match. It's hard to judge if we got our money's worth, right? So
Mhm.
if I put $1,000 on the prize table, um, do I get $2,000 back out of that prize table? Because then I'd say I broke even, which I would say, okay, I could take that as a win, right?
Sure.
Do I get more? Do I get anything out of it? So it's just always hard to judge those matches, and so then you
Yeah.
got to take a different step and look at it from a branding standpoint. Okay, so most matches you're not going to double what you put into that match for match sponsorship.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So I'm going to turn around and look at it from a branding aspect. What was I able to accomplish in branding? If I put the branding into the hands of just the match directors by themselves, nothing against any of them out there, they're busy running a match. So I typically won't get, and I said typically, I won't
Yeah.
get back that financial aspect in branding unless I attend the event myself and I run a table, or I have some shooters that can go down there and run a table for me. Then we can start getting some of that branding going in. But
Yeah.
again, once I have a table there, now whatever I put on the prize table, I've also put more money into flights, hotel, food,
Yep.
time there. If I run a live fire booth, that's going on. So it's difficult to judge on matches. Um,
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there really is no good, matrix out there for matches. Unfortunately,
Right.
Okay. What are some of the best examples you can think of where you got exactly what you were looking for? You got a whole bunch of hands-on time on the front end, and you got a lot of kind of continual stuff on the back end, like evergreen stuff.
yeah. So PCSL Nationals this year.
Yep.
Um, we
We talked
we
about that one a lot.
Yeah. So I went there. I ran I think it was three. Yeah, it was 3 days. I ran a demo bay and I ran it as a stage. That was huge because everybody came in and they were able to run a JP on the clock. Actually, a lot of people, that was their first time running in a JP5, which if you're not familiar with, it's a roller delayed PCC. Looks very much like, well, actually, there's one right there, but it looks like Corey's AR behind him. Runs Glock
Yep.
Max. But anyways, a lot of guys got their hands on it, were able to shoot it, and ladies loved it. I sold last time I heard, we sold 7 JP5s with the dual side with the side charger, top charger. So that's our big JP5. That's with all the bells and whistles. We sold like 4 or 5 of those from that match. So that match right there, was really good for us. Um, I really hate giving Corey credit when I'm on here with Corey, but his matches do really well. I mean, you run a side stage where everybody can jump in there. They can run your 22, your APAC chassis with a 22. I've
Yeah.
seen, you throw your 308 out there. You've got 223s. Those matches perform extremely well for us. We have a lot of feedback coming in from that, but we get a lot of photos. So I wish more matches would say, hey, we're going to put more time into a photo package, and we're going to go take a bunch of photos, and then we're going to send those to the company, and then we
Right.
can utilize those photos because really everybody loves video, but at the end of the day, when I'm looking at banners, I'm looking at catalogs, I'm looking at the website, I need photos. Photos have always held a higher value than a video because a video I can run it maybe once, twice, and we're going to be pretty much done with that video.
Mhm.
Photos, I can reuse a photo for a lot of different things. I throw it on banners. So I'm
Yeah.
always pushing like photos are still king, in my opinion, just from the
Mhm.
amount of use I can get out of it. So if you want to be a match director and you want to hire somebody to come in and do photos for you,
Mhm.
you're going companies can continuously come back to you.
Yeah. That's awesome.
As just a person that watches, seeing, and again, this isn't like just because Camden's on the show, but seeing where the PRS went from before Camden to after with the pictures, it's been really cool because like she has the eye, she has a different perspective. She's not
Yep.
afraid to take like the garden gnome shot underneath the
Yep.
guy to get the brass coming straight down.
Yep.
But like you're talking about, I mean, Camden's used one of our pictures that like it was perfect lighting. I did absolutely nothing well, but I've seen it on the PRS website. I've seen it on other pages. It's awesome to see what she's done to
Yeah.
start promoting like the vision that she has. And it's awesome to see that like companies still use that stuff even
Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
all the
Yeah.
time. And when you start taking pictures, you're like, wow, all this stuff from matches is
Mhm.
really what people get excited about.
It
Yeah.
is.
Like Wielding Wednesday is cool, or guess the caliber is really cool. But like seeing just a really good shot of like a first time shooter smiling or something,
Yeah.
that's what I love seeing too.
Yeah.
Mm,
Look,
definitely.
at JP, we got a phenomenal videographer and editor. He's doing a
Yeah.
phenomenal job. I love his videos, but I still go back to photos because I'll watch a video, 3 or 4 times as a reel, and then I move on. But a photo, I can go look at a photo, and I can, every time I look at that photo, I can pick something different out of that photo.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Can I
yeah,
shout
I'm
out Nate Dogg?
yeah, yeah. So I'm still a huge fan of photos. I think they're great. Um, and I keep trying to, Sean Nelson, who's one of my really good friends, phenomenal at videos, but I keep pushing him,
Yeah.
like, dude, you gotta get into taking more photos because he does great with photos, but I'm like, those go a lot farther. Like I know everybody's pushing video, but photos, man, photos go so
Mhm.
much farther. So if you're
Yeah.
a sponsored shooter or you want to be a sponsored shooter,
There we
go
go.
buy a camera and
There we
start
go.
taking photos because there is so much value.
Mm-mm.
There's so much
Yeah.
value
I have mine
in
right here.
photos. And look, man, I've got one of my small cameras back here, not even my big one,
Mm,
but it will still do a lot of great, still take a lot of great photos. Like there's just a lot of value in that. So yeah, match directors, sponsor shooters, photos, photos, photos.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. That is so good. Yeah, we've seen a lot of positive feedback with photos. So I mean, it's people want to be in on it. They want to see the excitement. They want to see the guns and the different gear that's out there. It's
Yeah.
good.
Well, everybody loves to see themselves in a video, right? But a photo is very easy for them to share and to repost and for their audience to easily go look at that photo and see them. And it's very easy for them to reach out to you and be like, hey, do you have any photos that I can have and throw on my own social or share? Yeah, that photo will last forever for them, right? They'll always remember that and remember where they were and when it was taken.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so good. So
Yeah.
good. All right. Well, I'm going to be going now down a different rabbit trail here. But when it comes to sponsorships, how should a competitor manage expectations from the sponsor, sponsors' expectations towards the shooters,
Yep.
and a question that I think a lot of people will have, and something that I've had as a competitor is, are written agreements important? Are they not important? Does it depend? I mean, I also know it's company dependent, right? Like everyone
Yep.
has their own views and opinions on it. But what's your take on written agreements?
Contracts, contracts, contracts. Why? Yeah, I don't care about the legal aspect of the contract,
Right.
but it's more of you both understand the expectations
Mhm.
and then you
Right.
both know how to manage them from there, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, and when I write a contract and I send it to you and you actually read the contract and go through it, if you see something that is not real, not realistic, then that's your
Mhm.
opportunity to go back to the sponsor and be like, hey, I see you have this in here. Unfortunately, my
Mhm.
sport that I shoot or how I do this, I can't do this part of it. Or,
Mhm.
I have some people with the tactical games. They don't wear jerseys. So they came back, they're like, we don't wear jerseys. Half the time they're
Mhm.
not even wearing a shirt. So they're like, where do I don't have anywhere to put a logo, right? Well, just go get a tattoo of JP on you guys. It's that simple. Um, um,
Wow,
Brandon.
savage. You guys make patches anymore? God.
well, sorry, I didn't know if you were paying attention anymore, Corey. So I had to throw that in there.
I'm
No,
reading
it's
through the comments to like get some of these under control. Yeah,
um,
Joseph Tall in here. C class at Nationals. What can you get me?
one of Corey's backup rifles. Um, so it goes back to like it's understanding the contract. Make sure that your
Mhm.
contract is suited for your shooting style, your content, what you do. Right.
Yeah.
Sometimes people just take a contract and they don't adjust it. I've been the same where I'm like, I don't understand where this person is going to move in how they're going to do things. So I'll
Mhm.
just take our blanket contract that JP has, and then I'm going to submit it over to them, and I'll tell them like, read through it, make sure it works for you. Because a lot of times they're going to come back and be like, well, I can't do this, can't do that, and they'll put marks through there. That lets me know, okay, cool. I now need to get on the phone with this person, talk to them about what they can do, and then what is it that I'm going to be able to do. On my side of things, sometimes it's a little different because they just, man, I'm getting all these cool effects. This is awesome.
Whoa.
This is
Sparkle.
great.
Hey, Pony Club. Let's go.
I know. I like it. Anyways, so on my side, it's usually managing the rifle, right? I get them the rifle, I get it out to them. They've kind of felt like I fulfilled all the things that I needed to them because they got their rifle, but it isn't, because it's, if I stop texting, if I stop calling them, stop commenting on their social media posts, things like that, from my personal account as well as the JP account, I've got to make sure out of sight, out of mind, that never happens. So for me as a company running it, we got to continuously push and support this shooter. But again, everything comes down to that contract and what you're expected. So in our contracts, a lot of times we were going to have in there, we need pro posts for our bulletin, we need content, we want so many social media posts. And of course, once you get into that, you can come back and be like, I just can't do this, or I can do that. A lot of times people come back to me and they're like, hey, I can't do X, Y, and Z. Okay, cool. Let's see what we can do to offset that and make sure this works for you, and how it can still work for the company itself. So contract, understand your contract, make sure both teams agree to the contract, and you're good to go.
That's awesome. So then I have a little bit of a spin-off question that I thought of. So if somebody is getting on with a company and they send a contract and it is a very, very heavy contract that the shooter knows, like, okay, I know I can't do this, I can't do this, I could maybe do that. And he were to go to the company and the company's like, nope, absolutely not, it's this or nothing. What would your advice to that person be?
Well, if you can't manage those expectations, then all you're going to do is fail, and you're going to put unwanted stress on yourself. And you're ultimately not going to be happy. So I'd probably say it's not the best fit for you.
Yeah.
Um,
It's hard when you're like hopeful for a sponsor, but you're like, oh, I can't do it.
yeah, it comes back to that job thing, right? Like I said earlier, it's got to be a company you want to work for. And when I look at a job, I'm willing to make sacrifices for a certain job because I want that job, I want that position. There's other jobs I'll be like, I'm not going to make that sacrifice, right? It's just not there for me. The same thing as a sponsored shooter. From a company, we've had the same thing where, somebody wanted something, and realistically, I'm like, I can't do that for whatever reason. I just can't do that. So I'm going to try to work out a deal with them. But if they're still stuck on that, then, I just have to say, yeah, sorry, we're just, we're going to have to, hopefully stay on good terms and maybe reapproach this next year when things have changed and maybe it works out for us, but maybe it never will.
Okay.
So, yeah.
That's good.
You want to spice things up and hit some lives, or about at the midpoint?
Let's do it.
All right. Before we do that, like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. What Dustin always tells us to do. What was your favorite stage at the Rifle Arrows? Travis wants to know.
What stage did I beat you on? Any?
None.
No. Okay.
Actually, taking pictures of my rifle. You got way better pictures of my rifle.
And that was mainly the comp. My favorite stage, man, I got to go back and really think about that match. On it, my favorite stage was when we shot two stages in one bay. They were really fast, and one of them had the swinger on there.
Yep.
The swinger was onto the right,
on the front, and then you had to shoot off the right on the swinger.
Yeah. I shot. That was like one of my worst stages. But for me, it was my favorite stage because I learned a lot. Just because I messed up and I was like, oh, look at that. But I like the fast stages where it's all footwork. Like, of course, we all know it all comes down to shooting and accuracy. But those stages where if you mess up on your footwork, like you just throw the whole stage out for sure. I like those stages. Yeah.
Like 12 at Nationals last year. That big open one where you had huge sprints and like tight spots where you could see a bunch of targets.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly. That was the one where you sounded like a freaking rhino running through it because you're like, throwing your rifle like this. Yeah, that one. That was a good one.
So our friend Joseph has been in like 5 of your B-rolls and never made the cut. He wants to know if he can make it next time.
You know, he needs to get a hold of Nathan Height and be like, why am I not making it in these videos? What are you doing? So he'll be at a match this year. Just walk right up to him and just call him out. Be like, I've been in all these. Why can't I just make it? Make it in a video. Or is he making me make the cut as a team? Does he want video or the team?
I don't know.
Even then, still go talk to Nathan Height.
Ask the mustache. William had a comment about pictures. The photo of Megan Hayden cleaning her third PRS stage at the Steel Classic a couple of weeks ago was an amazing shot. So
Yes,
that,
I love that photo.
yeah, that was awesome. I've known Megan for years, and watching her crush that stage with holdovers, not dialing,
That's cool.
holdovers on like a hard stage, super cool.
That's so cool. I love that photo.
And Joseph has a follow-up that says, Dustin told me to punch you in the face. So I'm getting punched soon.
I think that may be something I tell everybody. If you see Corey, punch him in the face for me.
Please don't. I don't want to have to fight a bunch of people. I don't have time for that shit.
We're gonna start throwing out real Avid and JP stuff out there.
Oh, great. All right. So back on track, maybe off a separate track. YouTubers, media, and other stuff. What do those look like? What is kind of a YouTuber kind of deal with a company for sponsorship?
Most YouTubers nowadays that they've got a very established platform for the most part. A lot of those people are coming out and they're wanting money
Okay.
for their videos. They probably want a free rifle in money. That's hard. Like when we start getting into shooters, podcasters, YouTubers, whatever, that are wanting a product plus cash, whether it's check or whatever, that's a different ball game. Because if I pay you 10,000 plus, I give you a let's say I don't know, a JP5 or something like that's around $4,500. So I'm
Yep.
close to $1,500 if I count what I've got going into the shop and all of that on the time. I'm sitting around that $15,000. I need you to move like 30,000 in product for me to feel like I broke even, right?
Okay.
Most people are like, well, if you spend 15,000 and I make you 15,000, you broke even. And I used to look at it that way. And I had a long talk with a business guy, and he's like, actually, it's not how it works, because we really didn't break even because we're recouping everything. And then now, so I need that person to make me $30,000 for me to feel comfortable about doing 15,000, gone in cash.
Yeah.
So that's hard. That is a hard pitch. It's always been a hard pitch. And it's doable, but I'd much rather somebody come to me and like, hey, let's work on a relationship. Let's build out a relationship. Year one, I've got this many. Let's say I got 50,000 followers on YouTube. I do this, I do that. Let's start with a rifle, and let's see where we can go and what I can do and what I can bring in. And figure out some kind of discount code where we can keep track. We can do like JP bucks that go back into things. Like I like that. I like those type of relationships that work. But again, it's all based on what can you bring to the company that I'm actually looking for at that moment.
Have you ever had someone that completely changed what your sales were? For example, I'm going to say this a very specific way. Have you ever had a color so good that one of your sponsored shooters specs it on every single one of his rifles?
So, yes, we've had instances where certain products move because of certain people. Yes. We've also had moments where somebody builds out an ultralight 308 that nobody else in the world will ever be able to get. and then they start calling into the company asking for that very specific rifle, and you get called into the office by the management telling you stop shooting that rifle at matches because it's starting to become a pain in the butt. It happens. It definitely happens. You look,
Yeah.
Josh Fraley, his every time he builds out a JP5 or some rifle, and he's out there and he's shooting matches, and he's whether he's winning or not, that's not the point. He's just really good at communicating with people and working with them and being educational. A lot of people just start calling in like, I want what Josh Fraley shoots. Those guys are moving the needle, right? And a lot of people are like, well, we got to be winning. You don't. You just got to be likable and be somebody where out there where people trust you and trust what you're doing, and be knowledgeable about the product. You can move that needle very easily.
Yeah, Josh is a fantastic dude for giving advice. Like he's a salesman, but if you ask him advice, he'll always give it to you. So he's very straightforward about that. You kind of brought up kind of Josh, and that leads into like, do you think smaller like media like channels still have a ton of value? Like not the 50,000, not the 1.2 millions,
Yeah.
but do you think like
I'll bring up mine for example. My account's small, and it's not a YouTube thing. I mean, my YouTube, they're all small. All of my stuff's small. All of my stuff goes to Real Avid, Burris, JP, right? It's all out there. But I can tell you now, I have people that reach out to me all the time asking me a question. JP's already put videos out there about what I'm talking about. They're just not going out there and watching those videos. They're looking for somebody that's not related to the company from a like being on that video. They're looking for somebody that's talking about educational stuff, giving them firsthand experience. All of those things will blow up and they will go off. And I've been watching my account. The more I'm posting stuff on my story and breaking down my JP5, the more people that are starting to follow me, asking me questions, because I'm running my JP5 to a point where it failed, and then I had to back it off to get it back up and running. And all these people, like, I'm doing the things that everybody would love to do. They just don't want to invest the money and time into that for it to fail. So small accounts, if you're out there doing educational videos, you're pushing, you're willing to put that money in there and understand that it's going to be a loss for a while, but you're going to start gaining traction. That stuff is very interesting to myself as a company because I need that educational content.
Right. It's good.
So I don't care what I really don't care what your account size is. I will look at that, but I've seen big accounts, they burn people. I've seen small accounts burn people. At the end of the day, it's who are you as a person, and what do I truly believe you can do for the company that means more to me than what your account size is.
It's good. That's good. So what is one all right. What is the number one best thing that you have ever sponsored when it comes to like JP or Real Avid or whoever? That could be a match, it could be a competitor, it could be perhaps a nonprofit or a group. Like, what is one sponsorship decision you made that you will just remember for the rest of your life?
This is a hard one. So I did for Real Life. So EOA, it's a trade show and it's a little different, but it's still marketing, and there's still other stuff that goes on there. But at EOA last year, we went there, and there was a guy there wanting to do some stuff, and he had been running some of our products as a shooter in Australia, and which is different how all that works, right? And so I just hooked him up with some product so he could run it, and it was more as a sponsored shooter thing. But I met him at EOA, and I was like, "Hey man, here's some product. Go have fun, do your thing." And he decided he wanted to become a dealer, and he wanted to take over the region. And this past SHOT Show, he came in as a dealer and bought $650,000 worth of product right there on the floor. And cost me maybe $300 in product, right? Um, those are rare, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
it happens, right? And it's
Mhm.
not that I ever really expect anything back out of him. It was just he was friendly. We talked. We got along. He was trying to do something cool, and I liked it. And it's like, yeah, man. I was like, here's some product. Give it a shot. Let us know what you think. And next thing I know, he's putting in a big order. That's 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 probably a good one, right? I can go back to that and be like, what did that actually cost me? Cool. So yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah. And I'm gonna hang out with him at Ewa this year too. So
That's cool.
it's goes back to not only did he buy, but we have a friendship.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. That's amazing.
yeah,
That's so cool.
yeah.
I love that. I love it.
Camden, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
What's the best thing you've seen a match do for sponsor return?
Mm.
Gosh. Honestly, well, mm, I would honestly probably say thank you notes. So as awesome as pictures are, and as much as I appreciate pictures from matches in the PRS, the more sentimental, personal side that really touches home is when match directors will send out thank you notes to the sponsors, because not a lot of people write thank you notes anymore. And
Yeah.
so receiving that personal touch from the match director, who, in the midst of setting up the match, post match, he wrote down, or, maybe possibly him and his wife wrote down and wrote a thank you note from their family of what their support meant. Like that, I think is huge, and something that I would even encourage match directors to do, or even competitors to do. Like if you pick someone off the prize table, write a thank you note, not an
Mhm.
email, write a thank you note,
Yeah.
because it could be you have a relationship with this company or not. Like you should be writing thank you notes to show your appreciation, because that shows so much intentionality and kindness that honestly is not very common anymore, especially since we're in such a large industry, that little personal touch will go so far.
Yeah, yeah,
That
I
would be
agree. So one of the coolest things we have at we've got two cool things that always catch my eye when I'm at JP.
Mhm.
Um, we work with Archway Defense. He does a lot of free LEO classes and travels all over the country. He had
Mhm.
a professional photographer with him, and he took a photo of these cops all decked out and they're running with their JPs, and it's shot in landscape. And he put it in a huge frame and gave it to
Yeah.
JP as a thank you. That I'm like every time I see it, I
Yeah.
think of Archway and I think of everything there. But
Yeah.
the one that really gets me is our JP sold Blue Steel Ranch. And so the last competition dynamic match they had there under the JP Blue Steel Ranch flag, they laser cut out this huge thank you trophy, sponsorship trophy, title sponsorship, or no, wasn't even title, but for Blue Steel Ranch, and just this big trophy, and all the competitors there that were at that match signed it,
Find it.
and it's in our conference room, and I just stare at that thing all the time, and it's one of those where I didn't make that match, and every time I see that, I remember all of the like good times I had at Blue Steel Ranch, whether I was shooting a match, training, capturing content, whatever. But all of those signatures that were on there, like they all shared in that same experience that numerous competitors have shared in.
Yeah.
So the whole
Yeah.
signature thing, I think it can go a long ways.
It does. Yeah. Definitely. For sure. Yeah, I heard about that sign from Blue Steel Ranch. I was like, oh, that like
Yeah,
made me want to like cheer up. And then also seeing like John, JP's Jackson was just like beautiful at SHOT Show, when that was brought up with some
yeah,
friends, and you're all talking about it and just what it meant to him. You saw that personal touch and how, all the competitors signed it, and he's going to remember that forever, and he will have
yeah,
that.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, for sure. And like I said, I walk in and it's the archway photo and then that sign there. Like we got a lot of cool magazines that are all framed up and everything that
Yeah.
we've been in. Those don't even come
I mean,
close to it,
come
right?
close. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the personal things that matter.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So good. So
What
good.
about you, Corey?
Um, I've seen a ton, but I think I want to answer a different question. I'm just going to sidestep that one. The best thing a sponsor has ever done for a match that was so above and beyond was a company came in as title sponsor for a match, and the company rep was there, and he's like, "Hey, I gotta show you something cool. No one knows about this yet."
Oh, I know what you're
Goes
talking
into
about.
the car, pulls out a sword.
I know what
This
you're
is
talking
cool, right? A literal sword for the match winner. So
about. That is
all throughout the weekend, it was all these little small touches of
Yeah,
like,
mhm,
little playbooks to keep your course of fire for PRS,
mhm,
little shirts, but every single one of them was hand tied with paracord with some patches and
yeah,
swag and stuff.
mhm.
And on the back end, we stayed with this guy and we did a prairie dog hunt. But like, I will never forget how much effort this guy put into making sure that everyone had a unique experience at that match. Like
yeah,
personally, his
Yeah.
time he put into that.
yeah, yeah. Did you ever shoot Rocky Mountain when JP was the title sponsor?
I did not.
That was so there would be a whole team of JP guys that would go to that match, and they would set up a bench so anybody's rifles need to be oiled, parts changed, anything like that. You actually had one of our armors on site to go through all your stuff, and then we like myself, I would have a four-wheeler, and I would just go from bay to bay to bay, talking to everybody, handing out patches, challenge coins.
Yeah,
Somebody's rifle would have an issue, jump on that four-wheeler, and I would just go as fast as I could back to the armor, and he would work on the rifle, and then I would take it and like deliver it
right.
back to them before the stage ran, or we'd have backup rifles. Those are the things that are cool as a sponsor when
Mhm.
they open up that budget and allow you to like go and do some
Yeah,
cool stuff. Man, that's when I have the most fun, right? Because
Yeah.
I've got the budget. I've got some freedom to go have fun and really show the competitors what it's like to actually be in the industry. Give them a taste of
Right.
like, here we are, um, unlimited
yeah,
ammo. Come shoot. Here's our rifles. Don't need to do anything. Here's whatever, right? Those are the moments that like for myself I continuously live and push for and try to find ways like that are meaningful to everybody that comes across the JP brand is that you will always remember that interaction that you had with myself or somebody else from JP at that match.
Mhm.
yeah,
Oh, that sounds really
yeah.
cool.
Man,
Yeah.
those are the kind of relationships that you have that you want to like that level of creativity just in like what can we do to make the match cooler? Like those are
Yeah.
the like, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Sometimes it just comes down to, being an entertainer. I think, you saw me this year, Corey, at Nationals. There were
yeah,
times that I would just kind of break away and just to go to have like my own time. And I'd go sit at a stage and just watch people. I had no idea who they were. And I'm just like, just there to like zone out, decompress. And
mhm,
then everybody's like, oh, you're with JP. And then like, you perk back up and you're starting to talk and you're
right,
talking about sponsorship and you're talking about their rifles and how they're shooting. Even though like we're extremely exhausted, we will still like we love doing that, right?
Mhm.
yeah,
Like those are the things that I tell everybody like wherever I'm at, you see me in a match, come talk. Like whether it's business, personal, friendship, whatever, just come hang out. Let's chat about whatever and become friends and have a good time.
Mhm. Oh, yeah. That's
cool.
what it's about at the end of the day. It's all about the
Yeah,
relationships.
yeah, yeah.
Too good.
So let's hit some closing thoughts on the
Mhm.
best advice you've ever heard on sponsorship.
From me.
Yeah. You, Camden, everyone. I want to hear all three. Not really mine. I've got one, but I don't want to hear mine.
Well, I want to hear yours first.
I was like, well, we got to hear yours. So
All
how about
right.
you
Yeah,
go first,
yeah,
Corey?
Okay, so I'm gonna go long. So I sent a thank you note to someone after a match, and like 2 years later, I approached them about working with the company.
Mm-hmm.
And someone very high up in the company replied to my thank you note from years before about working with them. And it taught me immediately that someone is always listening. You might not get the reply, but there's always someone listening. Another person very recently, I was touring a place, a facility, and the person said, I wanted you to see how big this is because someone is always watching you at the range, and we want you to know that good or bad, the way you portray yourself affects all these people.
Yep.
Oh,
Yep.
so good.
What do you
It's
got,
it's
Camden?
like heavy, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dustin, you want to go?
No, I was gonna let you go.
Okay. Um, I would say mine's kind of a little bit more of a, I'm gonna say realistic, where before I was ever sponsored, I had a conversation with a gentleman about brand ambassadorships, sponsorships, and just because I was so new, I didn't know what to expect. And he works with sponsored shooters and with companies, and he's like, I think first and foremost, you need to do a heart evaluation and see if you are the type of person that is meant to be a sponsored shooter. He's like, what I mean by that is that you need to give 110% all the time. He's like, you could be having the worst match of your life, but somebody comes up to you with a question or a concern. You need to be willing to put your best self forward, put a smile on your face, and answer that because you have chosen to represent companies. And he was like, not everyone is willing to do that. And he's like, not that people can't learn how to do that, right? Because it is a learning experience. Being able, as I'm competing, I'm in my zone, I'm doing my mental process. If somebody comes up and talks to me, I'm like, okay, I want to hear your questions, I want to hear your concerns, or let's talk, but give me 5 minutes. I'm gonna go shoot and I'll come back. And it always is great. But not everyone is willing to do that. Not everyone's willing to put others before themselves in a competition mindset. And so I think just having a heart evaluation, seeing if you're being willing to be 110% for others than yourself, like, and that was huge because you do have a bad match, you do have a bad day where you're grumpy, you're tired. Last thing you want to do is talk to some stranger, but you have chosen to represent a company. You wear logos on a jersey, you wear a hat, you put a sticker on your scope. You need to be willing to put others before yourself.
Yeah, I agree with both of you on all of those things. Um, this is a little different, the way I look at it, because I do think about this every time, whether I'm working with one of my sponsors or I'm working with one of my sponsored shooters. But Adam Maxwell once said that the most expensive scope you ever bought was the one that you got for free. Um, and that's from that sponsorship thing, because it does seem like it's the easiest and greatest thing to wear logos or have free optics or free rifles, whatever it is. But at the end of the day, kind of like you were saying, Camden, there's a lot that goes into that, and there's a lot of times where you just shot a bad stage, or you're not having a good day and you just want to decompress and kind of get away from everybody. But you're gonna give up that personal time, and you're gonna smile, you're gonna shake hands. Somebody, as you said, Corey, somebody's always watching you, they're always there paying attention to what you're doing. um, and so that's something I always think about, is that when you're wearing a JP logo and you may go shoot a match that there's nobody else there from JP, and you do something, I'll probably get an email. I receive just random emails from people that will say, "Hey, I ran into your shooter, phenomenal person," or "I ran into this shooter, and I don't know if they're sponsored by your company, but they have your rifle, and I don't think you should ever sponsor them." And they'll tell me why. So it's always something that it sounds great to say, "Hey, I have this, and I got it for free, and I represent this company." But again, are you ready for that what comes with that, and those expectations, whether they're high or low, those are still expectations to carry the brand that you're representing and treat it as if it was your own company, and you wouldn't want that company to look bad. So yeah.
Right. 'Cause I mean, yeah, like when I first started shooting with Burris, I'm in Colorado, so a lot of people know the Burris crew, know the products. But if I were to go to some random range in some different city where I could be the only person running a Burris, something that I think about is, okay, if no one knows what Burris is, if they see me wearing Burris, what are they going to think of Burris after they meet me, or of, I mean, any one of my sponsors, or even if it's not someone I'm sponsored by, but I run
Yeah.
their product, like, oh, well, she's maybe not sponsored, but that conversation was really great. She ran through the gear, it was really awesome. And, just being that representation when somebody doesn't know the company.
Yeah.
I think that's very important as well.
Yeah. There's a lot of times there's different things that go through my mind before I make a post, or I say something at an event, or in my squad when I'm just talking. I think a lot about what I'm about to say or what I'm about to do, because I do carry a bunch of brands, with me, and
Yeah.
um, wherever I'm at and wherever you guys have for sponsor shooters, you are the face of that company, and
Yeah,
you've got to, kind of live up to it.
for sure.
God, way to get all depressing at the end of this. Oh,
No. We got one. We got one left.
jeez.
We got one left. All right. We're doing like one sponsor shout out for something really cool that they did.
Mm.
Dustin, you got to go first. We're going reverse order, dog.
What? Well, then Camden hasn't went first at all. Yeah, go Camden. We got you.
Okay, so repeat the question again for me, Corey. I'm really thinking.
One sponsor shout out for something that a sponsor did that was really cool.
It has to be one of my sponsors.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I told you, I already have a prop for this. I cheated. I know exactly what I was going to say.
I know. This is so okay. Oh gosh. Okay. Man, I'm gonna have to go with. Oh, I like have so many in my mind. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and go with one instance that popped into my mind was, um, I took my 22 down to Lapua Test Center in Arizona. And at that point, I knew of the Lapua capstone team, maybe had a few emails back and forth, nothing big. And when I went down there, Kenlin and the whole capstone crew totally welcomed me and my mom into the whole facility. They took us on a huge tour. I was able to see burger bullets being made, where they test the bullets at reload. I got to talk to basically the whole entire crew, and it was such an incredible experience and so unexpected that I was just taking my 22 down to be tested, and it turned into this amazing experience where now I built a relationship with the capstone crew and with Ken Lin and then Ryan Spawner, who tests my rifle, and it was just such a cool experience. And seeing their passion for the product is amazing, because I choose to run certain things for certain reasons. And for a long time it was Lapua and Burger for quality purposes, but then now it's I know the company and they're so cool. I got to see the products being made, and how they test it and the reasoning behind it. But then I was talking to one of the gentlemen, and he got cheered up when he was talking about his pride in the products. And so obviously that makes me more or very much more thankful to use their products and to represent Lapua. So it was a cool experience. I loved it.
So something I did was with Real Avid, there were, we didn't have a huge team, but we had a decent size shooter team at this time point in time. And a lot of the guys on the team had never been to SHOT Show, but in previous conversations, they'd always said they wanted to go to SHOT Show. So the company, and I know, Corey, you don't like SHOT Shows, so you're automatically going, over here
I've
with
never
it.
been. I've had a conflict.
Yeah, yeah, that you keep
Next
scheduling
year.
yourself. Anyways, so what I did was Real Avid was like, hey, we need some extra help. Which employees here do you think would be good to go? And I'm like, wait a minute, like, I've got some pro staff guys. They've never been to SHOT Show. Why don't we work on building our relationship up with them? Because they lived in different states. I never really got to see them unless I like saw them at a match. And you know how matches are. Sometimes they're just, you shake a hand or, hey, what's up? And then you move on. So we flew them, paid for all of their expenses for the show, their food, their hotel, their flight, everything. We flew them to SHOT Show, and then they were able to work a couple of days, and then they'd have a day off, and they could go hang out with whoever they wanted to. And to look at the relationships that they were able to build with other companies as well as just within the industry and shooting. I've always really liked to look back at that. And it was something we did for 3 years. And now it's kind of become a thing with Real Avid, where they have their people that they're going to take, their pro shooters. But early on, we were just grabbing random people that we thought represented the brand really well, and we took them to SHOT Show for free and let them do their thing.
That's amazing. That is so neat. Oh, SHOT Show is so cool.
Yeah,
Corey,
Corey.
you have to go.
Oh man, hopefully sometime I get to go. Anyways,
Next year.
So if you guys don't know who Brian Conley is at Hunters HD, he is wildly involved in the shooting sports. They do something where if you shoot local matches, you get entered for the Hunters HD Gold Cup. Well, I won this pistol last year, which is a Ruger 2245 from Brian in this cup. So this is now going to be a loaner at the Brazosland Pistolero Steel match. I think what Brian did with the Gold Cup series, getting people shooting like level 1 matches, was absolutely unreal. Huge fan of Brian. So what we're going to do is we're going to use that, give it to the Steel Challenge match directors, and anyone that wants to use it, just run ammo through it. I do not care if it makes you come out to a match. I would love to see this thing worn out. So
yeah,
that's
awesome. Cool. Hey, speaking of, I want to throw Sean Nelson under the bus, and you guys can call him out on this.
Love it.
Yeah, so Action Gunner, and if you guys haven't heard of it, you should go look at it. But he's been toying with this idea of putting bounties on matches. And then whoever wins that match wins the bounty. And it's his way of kind of like just pushing certain divisions and letting people have fun. So your giveaway that Brian does made me think about Sean Nelson pushing the bounty. So everybody needs to hit up Action Gunner and say, let's go, let's make this happen. We know you've got the support of a lot of brands out there that want this. You should put a bounty on every match, and let's have fun. Let's make shooting fun again.
To be like, this is us beating Sean Nelson, because I can do that in any match.
No.
It's okay. Sorry.
Yeah, right.
You see what I did there?
Loved it. Just for clarification, Sean will not be at the match, but let's say you're going to shoot Texas 3-Gun Championship. Sean would be like, hey, I've got such and such company that donated this for whoever's going to shoot heavy metal. And if you win heavy metal, you're going to get whatever from this company. You should go shoot heavy metal.
Yeah.
Nice.
And then he's just going to pick random matches and make it happen. I think all he's trying to do is just get people out there to have fun and not continuously shoot the same division over and over and over. Like, mix it up, go have fun, shoot different divisions, have fun. I've shot the past 4 years, I've shot 4 different types of shooting. Go have fun. You don't have to just shoot 3-gun. Go explore and have fun, and who cares what all the haters have to say? It's shooting. You're going to meet a lot of cool people. You're going to learn something new about that sport that you could possibly take into if you go back to 3-gun or go shoot long range, or you're shooting, IPSC or PCC, whatever it is, you can go shoot. Go have fun. And I think that's what Sean's main goal is to do, is just, you got a single stack 45, go shoot this. You got, you're going to go shoot whatever, tack limb. Cool. Here's the bounty on this match because he wants to do it.
Cool. Nice. Well, I mean, I can't top that. I don't think there's a better way to end sponsorship other than saying to have fun at matches. So with that, we'll finish episode 457. Thank you guys for both coming on. It's been awesome chatting with you as always.
Thanks for having
Thank
me.
you, Dustin.
Later.
Thank you, Corey.